Shantala Nagar. Located in the core of Bangalore, it is one of the most happening places in the city. With a population of 27,500, it is centrally located, easily accessible, dynamic, and always bustling with activities. Being a prominent location since the inception of the cantonment, this locality has been through an eventful historical past and decades of constant change and transformation. During the 1800s, the ward evolved around the main connector road between the Pete area and the surrounding villages, that is the present-day Residency Road. The British established the cantonment base that was located away from the Pete and the fort towards the northeastern quadrant of the city. The British developed prominent buildings, churches, parks, grounds and clubs for their luxury and lifestyle. Present-day Shantala Nagar comprises of a lot of history and heritage, which can be seen through the various kinds of buildings from olden times dating back to the British era. It is one of the oldest neighborhoods in Bangalore, consisting of a mix of commercial establishments, public spaces and residential areas with wide tree-lined avenues. Shantala Nagar is one of the most lusciously green areas in the city. When comparing tree per person study done by IISc, we can see that it has a value of 0.339, which in comparison to the CBDs of other cities is much higher. The tree cover that existed in Bangalore has been reducing drastically due to rapid urbanization. Two types of planting influences can be seen in Bangalore. One is pre-colonial and the other is during the colonial period. During the pre-colonial era, the planting was mostly associated with religious purposes, and during the colonial period, we can see that the planting strategies were mostly along the avenues with shading trees. A lot of these trees were brought from the Kew Gardens in London. The British planted trees which reminded them of their country. They also planted the trees in an orderly manner with equal spacing. There are different kinds of trees that can be seen in this ward, ranging from flowering, ornamental and fruit-bearing trees. From the tree mapping, we can observe that high density of trees is seen in army and institution areas, and a low density of trees is seen in highly developed areas such as MG Road and in low-lying areas near the football stadium. Speaking of land use distribution, the three most prominent land uses are the public spaces, the commercial and residential areas. Public spaces. The central portion of Shantala Nagar has the most concentration of public spaces. These include the educational institutions, the government offices and clubs like Bangalore Club and Bowring Institute. Some of the oldest and well-known schools like the Baldwin Girls High School, the Bishop Cotton Boys, the Bishop Cotton Girls, St. Joseph and Sacred Heart Girls School are located at the core of this ward. The bustling commercial and entertainment hub. Being the CBD of Bangalore, one can see premium businesses ranging from retail to hospitality to corporate establishments. Most of the major roads have high-rise buildings with big company names, with the most prominent one being UB City. The Brigade Road has been one of the oldest in terms of both the commercial and entertainment sector, with the oldest movie theatres, pubs, restaurants and shopping centres. The Church Street, which is one of a kind in Bangalore, is another stretch that is always bustling with activity. On weekends, the entire road is made pedestrian by blocking off the vehicular movement. It is at this time that the true essence and vibrance of a complete pedestrian space can be witnessed. The quaint residential areas. The areas of Richmond Town, Austin Town, Langford Gardens, Ashok Nagar and Victoria Layout include some of the oldest residential layouts of the city that were formed during the British era. But in recent times, most of these bungalows have been replaced by apartments and multi-dwelling units, and the beautiful British bungalows remain only a handful. Street activities include street vendors, hawkers, food carts and various other street traders. They are usually located near shops, religious places, parks and inside residential layouts. Also, few street vendors are seen encroaching upon streets which are hampering the movement of the public. Food trucks can be seen in Richmond Town near the BBMP Park, which is very active throughout the day as it serves the need of the daily commuters. Here we have tried to capture the processes, routines and unique features of operation among different vendors. They reflect the diversity and vibrancy of the urban fabric and hold the power to provide essentials which keeps the everyday life on the go. social infrastructure is associated with public and semi-public spaces. Since this is a CBD, it plays an important role in both the overall economic development of the city and the quality of life. It enhances social well-being and furthers economic growth by providing basic social services and facilities. Under this layer, we have tried to understand social infrastructure through various spaces like institutions, hospitals, religious spaces, community spaces, essential and emergency services. In terms of physical infrastructure, Shantala Nagar being the hub for public and commercial activities, connectivity is an important component. A greater footfall is recorded during weekends near MG Road, Brigade Road and Church Street. Also, higher occupancy of parking is identified along these areas. These problems of parking and traffic congestion are crucial concerns in the CBD. The ward is surrounded by sub-arterial roads that are Kasturba Road, Cubbon Road, Trinity Road and General K.S. Timaya Road. Some of the important nodes in the ward are the MG Road Junction, the Brigade Road Junction, Anil Kumble Circle and the Cash Pharmacy Junction. These junctions have the most number of traffic inflow from all the sides and most diversions are taken towards Brigade Road and Richmond Road. The St. Mark's Circle is one of the most eye-catching nodes which was developed by Tendershaw at the intersection of Museum Road and St. Mark's Road.
Students documented Shantala Nagar and they have come up with interesting strengths and weaknesses about the area. Shantala Nagar being the core attracts a lot of Bangalore population and tourists for shopping and social activities. The density of population is less when compared to other surrounding wards. Mixed land use present in Shantala Nagar promotes better revenue generation. The ward being rich in heritage, there is a lot of chance for conserving the same. Due to rapid urbanization, the area has lost its green cover and lakes. 3 lakes which were present in 1900s have disappeared now. They are either being converted into stadiums or playgrounds. Since they are the primary water catchment areas, there is a lot of chance of flooding which is there in this area. If there are no measures taken towards conserving the culture of the place, there is a chance of losing the identity. Regardless of the Tendershaw projects which are present there, students also found out that there are still roads with improper lighting and improper footpaths. The arterial roads witness a lot of noise as there are a lot of floating population which comes there. The floating population has attracted maximum number of hawkers, but there are no dedicated vending space which are available there. After identifying the challenges in Shantala Nagar, students have come up with interesting interventions like improving the streetscape, node redevelopment, reusing the ignored urban spaces under the flyover, and also they looked at rethinking the nalas as a pleasant element in urban landscape. Students also looked into everyday urbanism, addressing the temporal activities and conceptual ideas such as urban farming and elevated urban parks. Students also looked into public spaces and integration of the same with the surrounding context by stitching urban parks, by creating civic spaces, and also rethinking of public and private domain in the urban core area.
The reason why we had given the students Shantala Nagar as a study area was because this is really the heart of the cantonment in the city. It's a very distinct neighborhood and it mixes both the colonial characteristics of the city, but also has a few traditional settlements, and so we thought it would be a rich and varied experience.
The intent to get this analysis done by the students of BMS College of Architecture, postgraduate habitat design, is to build an archive by the institution to help the city with the concerted documentation. In the last semester, the same set of students studied Kormangla, with which they were able to develop a map of that area. 2 semesters before, we did all of Alsur right at the periphery of our studying area.
ಈ ಒಂದು ಯೋಜನೆಯಿಂದ ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕರಿಗೆ ಅವರು ವಾಸಿಸುವ ಸ್ಥಳದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ದೊರಕುತ್ತದೆ ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಸ್ಥಳದ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಗೆ ಕೈಗೊಳ್ಳುವ ಯಾವುದೇ ಯೋಜನೆಯಾದರೂ ಈ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಪೂರಕವಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ.